Hey everybody, today we are here to answer the question of what is Himno, the Silent Melody? Himno, the Silent Melody, it's a relatively, we'll say, newly released early access game on Steam. It's $12, it's $11.99, so if you want to check this out, go check it out. But as you can see here, it's a 2D platformer that is sort of a sandboxy, Minecrafty exploration roguelike game. And I'm kind of having a hard time, to be honest, getting my head wrapped around the game in and of itself, I should say. So you play as this guy, whom I'm assuming is Himno. You can use his sword in, attack in different directions here, which is pretty fun. Down in the bottom here, you have your Minecrafty menu of stuff that you can play around with here. You have like a summoner wand, which I'm not even sure what it does yet. You get this sword here. You get, or rather, this sword is what I meant. You get a wooden sword, which has different stats. You have this, what I thought was a crossbow or bow and arrow thing. It's actually a grappling hook, which is pretty cool. I found that out when I was trying to find an enemy, because I was like, oh, this looks just like a bow and arrow, but it's not. So that really threw me off. What's interesting is with the grappling hook, you have like a limited amount of times you can use it. You can see, it's down to 110. That's why I was like, oh, these are arrows, but it's like a grappling hook. I don't know. So the game does have crafting. You can go up to, these little things that you actually have to craft these yourself. I made 2 of them. I made this one. You go in here, you can see the different things you can craft. So far from here, we can make a workbench. And here's the workbench. You need these items over here. And then you have to hit this button to make it. I personally found this menu to be super confusing when I was crafting stuff, because everything is the same color. Nothing jumps out to you. Like, this page, this menu, definitely needs like some kind of a UI complete overhaul here. The button needs to stand out. The crafting button, like, it doesn't even have the word craft on it, or having a symbol for crafting. Maybe it's supposed to be a little hammer there. I don't know. To me, it doesn't come across very well. I didn't know that these were the materials you need. There's a lot of things going on here that I'm kind of like, what is what? And you can see that part of the reason why is, it says main cap up in the top middle here. But for each menu that's over here, it has this like sort of like old, scribe type text that you can't make out. This would technically be like a separate inventory over here, where you can store stuff. Over here in this area is your inventory that you currently have on you. So I suppose if you wanted to like put some stuff here, you could. And if you, come back to this, that stuff will just be stored there. So if you happen to use, one object a lot and don't want to carry it around on you, you can store it there, which is cool. Oh yeah, by the way, you can dash around too. So, we ended up making this workbench, and then the workbench does the thing where, you can craft a bunch of other things, right? You can craft different workbenches that make different things. So you really have to kind of play around with what's available to figure out what you need to make to do a thing. But the problem is that I don't really know what I'm doing, right? So I crafted this workbench, and in here it's like you can craft armor. Okay, so I crafted a shield, some armor, crafted a wooden sword, that kind of thing. I then went to go craft one of these workbenches. I was like, okay, I'll do the stone furnace, because it says you can craft coal and melt different metals. So I did that. And I made this guy, which is just, yet again, another menu here. And then here you can craft different, metals, like it said. But none of this stuff is useful to me yet, which is the problem. The problem is that, there's tooltips in the game that kind of like, between levels, to let you know things you could do. Like, for example, one of the tooltips I found out was it said, use a pickaxe to edit your surroundings, like in your town. Because this area, as far as I know, this place is completely editable. You can build it however you like and put stuff wherever you want. And that is sort of the allure of this game, is that you're trying to build your own. This is where, again, the Minecraft influence comes in too. You try to build your own little town or city or place, apartment, whatever you want to call this. And you could do that in this, but you got to find the materials. And the materials I have found to be kind of hard to locate. I've also crafted this little storage box over here that I put a bunch of stuff into too. So you could definitely craft stuff, but I don't know I don't know the right order in which I'm supposed to be crafting things, which has made the game kind of unfun in a way. Because I played this game for actually, at this point, close to about an hour and a half. And I've had this game since it came out in early access a couple months ago. And I've come back to it every so often and played a session or two, played through some levels just to try to see if this clicks with me, to see if I kind of figure out what I'm doing. And it's been tough. So I feel like this session, though, I have kind of finally figured out what I'm kind of doing when it mentioned the pickaxe and the tooltip. So I know that this terrain workbench, it actually says right there, this crafting station is required to craft pickaxes, okay? So the question I have, though, is like, why am I crafting and building this whole town here? I'm not really sure. I don't know what the end game is. You can actually see that this little thing over here has like some kind of a green bar at the bottom of it that's filling up, if you can make that out there. But I'm not sure why that is. We're going to jump into the main game here so you can kind of see what the main, the other main focus of the game is, besides, crafting and building your little abode there. So you jump into District 1 here. You control your character the exact same way. You jump around. You can dash around, which is nice. And you need that because if you actually fall into the water, then it's going to restart you back at the beginning every time. Sure that's not going to be too loud. It's interesting, the music is super loud versus like the sound effects and whatnot, so we'll just turn that down a bit here. One of the things I want to talk about right off the bat here, though, when we're getting into the exploratory areas, is the control. So the control is really weird. You move your control character around this way. Like I said, you move the control stick around to attack, which I think is an odd choice. I don't think it's really necessary for a game like this to have complete control over your character. I think a simple left, right, maybe up, down attack would be just fine. Where you're using your actual, your actual D-pad to do so, right? Or analog stick. But I see why he did that, because or he. I mean the developer here, because I believe it's one guy who's working on this. And it's because, you could use the grappling hook and point that in different directions, right? But what's weird is that the grappling hook, you could see, we'll get back here in a second, you can see the grappling hook, I'm actually moving it around up and down, right? But I'm using the analog stick D-pad for that and not the right control stick. I'm using the left one, where with the sword, I'm actually using you can see the little gray cursor up, top right there. He's using that to aim and to attack at that point. So it's just a really weird decision to me. Like, it seems like a design decision that might need to be let go, because it's a control that just like doesn't seem to work. Even on mouse and keyboard on Steam here, it's just weird. Like, it just doesn't feel right, and I can't quite put my finger on why that is, but. All right, so in these levels, you're going to find, treasure chests, and you're going to find little urns that you can break. You can go into the treasure chest, you can loot all of this stuff. I'm going to take the materials here. I'm going to use Y and quickly take these. I'll take the potion, too. So we'll take those away. Now we're going to keep exploring here. So to the best of my knowledge, the best of my ability to figure this game out, you're doing a couple things. You see that we just lit that brazier of fire there. You're also going into different areas, and you'll see little yellow gems pop up that you can collect. The little yellow gems are used to buy things on your adventures. And here we go. Light up another brazier. We got a yellow gem. You saw it appear there real quick. The yellow gems are collected in a very strange way. They show up, and then if you're close enough, you just grab them, which I think is real strange. I don't know if the yellow gems are meant to kind of show you what way you're supposed to go or what, or if they're just there to collect. I don't know. But you are indeed collecting these green gems. Now you see in the bottom right corner I have one green gem. If I collect that one, I now have two. I don't know what the green gems do. I don't know what their purpose is at this point. Oh, and we got a couple of bad guys here. You gotta be careful of these bad guys because they will take you out quick. And the fighting is strange. To me, it has never, in this game, has just like never really felt like it works. Like, that's why I feel like the aiming needs to be on the left stick instead of the right, because it's unintuitive to not, like, because my brain is like wanting to move the character and dodge and attack at the same time, where now I have to do three things, where I have to move my character, aim the little reticle to attack, and then somehow still be able to jump around and dodge the enemies. It's almost too much for one's brain to take on. At least for me it is. I'm not a bright man. Oh, we got some enemies here. Now some of these enemies, if they're close enough too, you could cheese them by attacking them through the walls here. But a lot of stuff in this game, I think that the main purpose is very foggy, and it has me wondering, like, to what end am I doing any of this stuff? Like, what is the purpose? Where do I need to go? I feel like the game overall just needs, like, a bit more... Like, it needs to give a bit more guidance and direction to the player for them to completely understand why they're doing the thing they're doing. Like, I like a sandbox. I like exploring. I love exploratory games. But I also like to have, like, a goal, right? And I don't know what my goal is at the moment. The game doesn't really tell you explicitly, or even, like, I guess it's too subtle, maybe is the way you could put it, as to what you're supposed to be doing, what your motivation is, or what your goal is. I don't know. It's really kind of thrown me off, and part of the reason was I thought maybe it was an early access thing. Here we're breaking up some rocks to collect some materials. But it really threw me off because I thought it was an early access thing, which is why I've taken so long to kind of, like, give this game some coverage, because, it's what I usually do with early access games. I like to let them breathe a little bit, let the developer fix a few things that other people have found, to be annoying or an issue. But quite honestly, by the way, they can shoot through those little bridges like that. They can really, really get you like that. You got to watch out. But yeah, it's just strange to me that this game, like, it could be fixed, I think, very, very easily by removing a few things and editing a few other things. We're going to just jump straight up here and get away from those guys. And here's the final green piece. So we got all 3 green pieces, and this is actually the door that's going to take you to your next area. But I don't understand what the point of gathering the green pieces is, because you can actually go through those doors without them. So I don't know. I don't know what the green pieces do. I really don't. And that's where what I'm saying here is I feel like parts of the game they need to be explained just a bit more. I like games where you're exploring and they kind of let you figure things out on your own. I do like that to an extent. I think there needs to be some sort of, like, foundation, though, which I think is what this game is lacking. I think there needs to be some kind of foundation that lets you know, like, hey, overall, this is what you're doing. This is how you do it. This is what you're looking for. Now go. And then from there, you can kind of try to piece everything else together, right? But then again, some of you out there, you might be a completely different type of gamer than I am. And you might be like, hey, listen, RC, like, I like a game that doesn't tell me anything. There's also these green glowy things that hang out here, and I don't really know what they do. I'm not sure why they're there. They seem like they'd be important to interact with, but I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. So you can see we're back down to the 1 green thing that we were collecting. We are now looking for 2 more green things, I suppose. Not every level is going to have the green things. I've also noticed that not every level has an exit. So you'll have to go back to the main entrance. And you will have to actually go through there, and it'll reload the level into a different instance of it. Because since it's a roguelike and it's procedurally generated, it just generates you another version of the same level, hopefully with an exit. So you see we have an exit here. I've got 2 green things, but I can just exit this door. But I don't know. I'm like, should I have stayed and went for the 3rd green thing? I don't know. I don't really understand really what I'm doing here. So I don't know. I don't know what to do here. We're gonna collect a couple of these. Oh, can I not get these? Oop, that was a pause menu. So we do have a couple of these, like, summoner wands here. That little yellow thing has been following me around a lot. I don't know what the yellow or pink things actually do. They follow you around. It says that they're a summoning wand, but I don't know what they're summoning or what they're doing. Again, one of those things where, like, I don't feel like they're telling us enough of what's happening. And I can't seem to actually pick up these wands either for some reason. So I don't know what's going on with that or why we can't interact with them. Oh, we're going to fall in the water. I want to make sure, again, that audio is not... I feel like I have not been riding the audio, and I should have been, because it seemed like it might have been loud there for a bit. Sorry, people, if it was. Hopefully my points still come across. Now, I don't want it to seem like I'm completely dogging this game the whole time I'm playing it, because I don't think this is a terrible game. I think that with a few tweaks here or there, this could actually be quite a good game. But I don't know how hard it's going to be to implement some of those tweaks, you know, like giving the player a bit more guidance as to what they're doing, maybe even adding in some kind of like a story thing at the beginning to kind of like let them know, like, hey, this is how it works here. This is how it works in this weird world. You need to craft stuff to do this. There's even a guy that's in your like little home area who doesn't really give you many pointers. Like, he could be the guy that's just like, hey, listen, you really need to go collect this one thing. This is what we need to do next. And maybe that's just what you need. You need some kind of a quest system or a guidance system to kind of let the player know what they're going to do. And let the player know that, like, hey, anytime you talk to this guy, he is going to let you know that what you need to do next. Are you lost? Okay, this is what you got to do next. Because I tell you what, I don't think that the average gamer likes to be lost for too long, you know, without knowing exactly what it is they're going to be doing or what to do next. We'll grab all this stuff here. Alright, we're going to go through the door. And you can see here, too, the levels are interesting in a way that, like, some of the levels have enemies and some don't. Sometimes you're going to find yourself in a really rough spot with enemies coming after you. Other times you're going to breeze through, like, 3-4 levels without seeing any enemies. It's kind of weird. So I don't know if that needs to be tweaked as well. You know, roguelikes are, I feel like, a hard genre. Not that making games is easy in any way anyway, but I feel like they're a really hard genre to, like, get the balance down just right, you know? Like, you need to... There's an enemy. There's so many different things you need to think about when you're making them. And the balance, you know, you'll see some of these roguelikes that come out, like the really popular ones, they're now going to be in early access for a long time, you know? I think Rogue Legacy 2, I haven't played it yet, but it just came out into full version. Came out into 1.0 recently. And, you know, that game was in early access, I think, for a year? A little over a year? I don't know. I don't own it, so I didn't play it. Oh, we're going to avoid these enemies and go right through the door. Look at that. Snuck right through. And we are now in the outpost. And we still can't take those wands. Maybe you can only carry 2 at a time. But I did play the original Rogue Legacy, and what I could say about that game is it gives you enough to go off at the very beginning to kind of know what's going on, but it leaves enough mystery to be discovered as you're having fun, you know? And that is kind of the... that is the line you're writing when you're making one of these types of games. So, if this was indeed made by one person, I think that this is super impressive, but there's just a little bit more tweaking that needs to happen. Oh, jeez. Alright, so this is the first time I've seen this kind of guy. Oh, geez, like a bullet hell now. Oh, my God. Oh. Okay, I definitely wasn't ready to kill that guy, that's for sure. That's the first time I've ever seen that guy. I've been in that outpost level a few times, and it's the first time I've seen that boss. Music's really good. I really like the atmospheric, like, ambient music in this, too. Really well done on that. But that's going to be Himno, guys. I think it is a well-made early access game that has a lot of little tweaks it needs to kind of get somewhere to where I think it's going to be a popular game. This is the guy I was talking about that could give you a little bit more guidance as you're playing. He'll say, like, you're still in one piece, and you can go to him and you can actually learn skills from him. But what's really interesting is that, like, you can't actually see that this menu is stuck for some reason. You can't actually see, like, what you're upgrading here for some reason. So, like, I bought 2 skills, but I don't even know what the skills do or what they're doing to my character. You know, it's kind of weird. Even if you go over your character here, where you say, oh, this is Fash, which is, I guess, the name of the main guy, default appearance. But it doesn't tell me anything about, like, what his abilities are with these, like, what I've upgraded, that kind of thing. So, like, the player needs a little bit more to go on with this stuff, you know? So, yeah, like I said, not a bad game, not a terrible game. There's just, like, more work that needs to be done here. I feel like in a few months, if some of these things are addressed, some overhauling takes place of, like, the inventory system and some other little things happen, I think that this could potentially be, like, a really fun game. But first and foremost, the thing that needs to be changed is the control scheme. Like I said, you can see the cursor here bouncing around above the character, which is where you aim to attack. I think it's a cool system, but I just don't think it works when you're dodging enemies and trying to get away. I just don't find it very fun. You should have full access to your attack and dodge when you're trying to get away from enemies. So you want your character to be able to move quickly around so they can dodge the enemies and attack back. With this, you're not going to be able to do that because you have to aim to shoot or aim to swing, and then I don't know. To me, it just doesn't work. My brain maybe is just too. It's just wired a different way than other people out there, other gamers out there. But for me, it just doesn't work. But there you go, guys. That is Himno, the Silent Melody. Like I said, it's in early access on Steam right now. It's $12, $11.99. If this looks cool to you, check it out. But if you want to wait for to see where it's going to be, in a couple months after some more development, I would probably say that's the better choice to make here at this point. But everybody, hey, thanks for watching. Let's see you all in the next one.